Hey guys, how you doing? jpsarrireviews here. The New Mutants is a film that has been through production hell for the past 5 years. It has been delayed time and time again, and COVID-19 didn't help at all. But it finally made its arrival to the movie theaters, and I took the opportunity to leave the house after months and go to the movie theater just to watch it. So in this video, I want to break it down for you, the good and the bad, and ultimately let you know if I think you need to go and watch it at the movie theater or you need to wait until it comes out on Blu-ray and digitally. So in the next couple of minutes, stay tuned. Day good. First, I need to point out that I'm not a big fan of the New Mutants. Back in the 80s, it was not one of the books that I picked to read. I read a few issues here and there. I saw some of the crossovers with the X-Men, so I was interested then. I would say that my interest peaked when Rob Liefeld took over in the book, and then of course the book became the X-Force. Then I was paying more attention, but it has never been one of those teams in the Marvel universe that I care much about. I'm familiar, of course, over the years I have read the comics. I went back and read the original run. Of course, Chris Claremont, Bob McLeod was the original artist, then Sal Buscema, and then Bill Sienkiewicz, in my opinion, really created a really concise art, really interesting, very different art for the book. And a lot of people remember the New Mutants because of that. It was a darker tone, and also Chris Claremont was exploring some dark themes, supernatural themes. So I do believe that this film captures that essence very, very well. I was really surprised by it. It has the dark theme, it has the horror elements, the more supernatural side of the New Mutants, and it is a good adaptation. I was really surprised. I was not expecting it that dark, but it's not like super, super dark. It is dark because it really represents, or really it's well based on the comic book. So that was, in my opinion, a great asset of this movie. Another aspect I like about the movie is the characters. Of course, these are based on the comic book story, so you have the original cast and some other characters that were added within the original, within the time frame of the New Mutants, the original, and also later iterations of the New Mutants. So you have Sunspot, you have Cannonball, you have Danny Moonstar, you have Wolfsbane. So you have all these different characters, Magic. So it's nice that they have representation now in film. And the actors are very young, the cast is very young. They all did a fantastic job in portraying these characters and the difficulty that they have adapting to their powers. So this is the thing, what I really enjoy about this film is that it portrays young mutants. It does it better than the X-Men films ever did. And these characters are young. Of course, the casting is young. They're relatable. They're likable. Even though they're young, and I'm not young. I'm not a teenager, so I don't really have the angst of youth. I don't suffer from that anymore when I was a kid or as a teenager. But they really portray those, I would say, situations that young people have to deal with. And I feel that in that aspect, they're likable. Even in their most difficult moments, even when they're being really jerks to each other, you still like them. So I like that part of the film. Another aspect I like about this film is that it feels grounded. It is grounded. When you think about superhero films, the first thing that comes to mind is powerful beings fighting powerful beings, protecting the universe. Or you think about rich kids or rich guys with a lot of resources fighting all the villains of a big city. You know, things like that. It comes to mind. It's something that we think all the time when we think about superhero stories. Well, this is a different approach to it. This is a more horror-based film in a superhero setting that is no different. It's not like it's changing the story. It is the comic book story. So it is applied into this film. And I like that. It is these kids fighting for their lives. That's pretty much the core element, the core center of the entire film. They're fighting for their lives. Of course, there are references to villains and to things in the X-Men world, which is nice. If you are a fan of the comic book story, you're gonna see those references. So when you come out of the movie theater, you're gonna have a better experience than those that are unfamiliar with it, because there are references there, and I love that. But yeah, it's grounded. In my opinion, it's good, and I really like that. There's a low budget in this film. You can see that even in the special effects, but they're well done. So that's another thing that I really like, that even though it is grounded, it is well done. So in my opinion, that's a big plus. The bad. Now it's time to talk about the bad. One of the biggest flaws in this film is the lack of a proper villain. There is a villain, but not necessarily the villain that you were expecting or you were suspecting. And it's a bit disappointing. Even though on the side of the villains, so the people involved into really controlling these kids, some of the behavior is really unexpected and not necessarily in character. So it is what it is. It doesn't feel natural. So yeah, I would say that that's a flaw. And although, you know, at the end of the day, we have to keep in mind that this story, it's more about these kids dealing with their own trauma, dealing with their own fears, dealing with their own situation, their power, trying to understand who they are and their power. So it's pretty much what the film is about. So it's a good part because it becomes a psychological thriller in one way, but not necessarily you feel that in the end, the evil they're fighting is as powerful or as engaging as it should be. So yeah, it is a flaw. And that brings me to the point where I feel the film suffers the most, is that it feels so cliche. It feels so played out. It feels, even though it tries to be different and new, ultimately it falls prey and victim of the same ideas and cliches of many other films in this genre. Although, you know, we're gonna say this, even though it tries to be a superhero film, it never goes deep enough into that side. Even on the horror side, it tries to be a horror-oriented film, but it never goes too deep into the horror side. At the end of the day, all it is a teenage drama. So it falls prey of the teenage drama characterization. All the characters are pretty much the same as you have seen in so many different movies. You can take the label of the New Mutants, you can take the label of the superhero story, you can take the label of the horror part, and you have a teenage drama with the same angst that all teenage suffer. So yeah, it feels played out. You can telegraph the situation. You can even telegraph the ending of the story so easily from the beginning. Every situation that is happening, it's nothing new. It's not groundbreaking. And ultimately, that's what hurts the story for most, because they're going to come to watch the film. It's entertaining, but at the same time, many people are going to say it's forgettable. Unfortunately, it has that problem. Also need to point out that there are thematic elements in this film that not necessarily are good for everyone. And this is more about perception. I'm not saying that this is a flaw in the film, but this is something that you have to be aware of. Now, if you are very open-minded, if you're the type of person that are, you want everybody to have a voice, then you might not have a problem with this. But if you're more conservative in your values, then you might encounter some situations in the story that you are going to feel uncomfortable with. Now, there is a tendency in Hollywood to push certain agendas, and they do it at every opportunity. And sometimes it feels forced. And in my opinion, the situation that happened in this film feels forced. It doesn't feel natural. And it doesn't even enhances the story, doesn't make it better. It's just there for the sake of being there. So, if you're going to watch this movie, if you're planning to watch it, just keep an open mind. Not everyone feels the same way. So I'm not going to, I would say, add this as a flaw or a bad thing in the film. That's something that you have to be aware of. So, keep that in mind. In conclusion, well, all things considered, I can tell you one thing. I really enjoyed the film. And I gotta be honest, I wasn't planning to come and watch it at the theater. I was not planning it. And COVID-19 hit, we haven't been at the theater for so long. So for me, this was an opportunity to leave the house. So I went by myself. My wife didn't want to come with me. And it was an experience. Having the mass at the theater is not the funnest thing to do, but we have to follow the rules. There was not many people at the theater, which is very surprising. I was in a good hour when most of the time people are there. Nobody was there, only a few at my, in the whole theater. I didn't see much people, which is sad. But I did enjoy the experience. Even though there are things there that I didn't care much about, there are flaws in the film for sure. You can feel, it feels incomplete in some ways. You can see that this is the foundation for something bigger that we're planning to do. Ultimately, they have to arrange it and fix it to make it a standalone film. And I would have loved to see the whole trilogy, work out, because I do, I like the first one. So I'm guessing that the second and the third one will be a much better experience, with more story, the villains fleshed out. But we're never going to get that chance. And at the same time, I'm grateful for that, because I do believe that the Marvel Studios is going in a different direction. And I would love to see the X-Men being introduced before the New Mutants. So yeah, it is good for what it is. So if I have to give this film a final score, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10, which in my book is good. It's a good film. However, I'm not recommending this to watch it at the movie theater. You can wait until it comes out on Blu-ray or DVD. You can rent it or you can stream it. I think it's a better experience when you watch it at home. There are films out there, even on Hulu, on all the services, on Netflix, that actually are more engaging than this film. But I want to support my local movie theater, and you are also free to do so. But what do you think? Have you watched the film? Do you get the opportunity to go to the movie theater? Do you like the New Mutants stories? Have you read the comic book? Let me know in the comments below. So once again, my friends, thanks for watching. God bless, take care, and I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.